Hey everybody, this is Chuck Marone with Strong Towns. I'm at the new urbanist development called Celebration just outside of Orlando. If people tell me, okay Chuck, this feels, I had one person tell me once, because I showed some pictures of Celebration, I showed some pictures of New Urbanist Place, and they said, this looks like the Stepford Wives. This looks like unreal. Like, I don't know as I would want to live there because it just doesn't seem real. And I probed a little bit, like, what do you mean by real? What is real to you? And I basically got down to real means like dirty. Real means, things like garbage cans and cars parked. Well, I'm going to tell you what, they've got that all over Celebration. They've got cars that are parked, right? They've got garbage cans, right? They've got garbage cans. They've got all that stuff. I'm walking over a big drainage thing right here. You know where it is? It's in the alley. I'm walking down the alley in Celebration. Here's an electrical box. Guess what? It's not covered up. It's just sitting out here, right? Let me see if I can get that. Yeah, it's just sitting out here. Electrical box, right? Like they have all those things that everybody else has. You know where they are? They're in the alley. Why? Because the alley's where like all the nasty stuff goes. That's what you do with an alley. I see so many cities where they're vacating their alleys. It's like, we're going to vacate this. We're not using it anymore. We're not going to maintain this. Let's not worry about this. Alleys are like the most important kind of design thing we can put in. There's a reason why you go back to every old plat and they're full of alleys. Alley back in those days is where they put the outhouse, the latrine, right? It's where they had their burn barrel. These were people who were vastly poorer than we are, with vastly fewer resources than we have. And what they did is they said, we want our place to be as pleasant as we can, despite our lack of resources. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention and make the street as pleasant as it could be, because that's where people are. And we're going to put all the bad stuff in the alley in the back, where people are not. That's what you do when you're building a very pleasant, nice place. Today, when you go to most cities, what we see is the garbage cans are out front. We see the utility boxes are out front. We see all the nasty stuff is out front, right? We don't put it in back. We don't hide it. We just put it, right out there in kind of a random way. Again, this is where I live too. Like I live in that same kind of place. I'm not suggesting like this is how wealthy people live and this is how poor people live. I'm saying poor people in the past, poor neighborhoods in the past, maximize their value, maximize their place, made their place as pleasant as it could possibly be, despite their lack of resources, despite their lack of capacity. They actually built their capacity, they built their wealth by doing simple things, like putting all the nasty stuff behind the house. So you didn't see it. So you didn't interact with it. So your house and your street and everything else looked pleasant. The thing that is most astounding about a place like Celebration is that it's actually the same things you have in every other city. You've got houses. They have windows and doors and siding and, yes, maybe some of the architecture here is a little bit better designed, but these are just homes like every other place. What you have here that you don't have in other places is thoughtful, intelligent, like arrangement of the parts. The poorest city in the country, if you could arrange the parts differently, could have the same exact experience. The reason why people pay a premium to live here, the reason why this place feels like the Stepford Wives, the reason why this place feels unreal is because the humans that built it and designed it actually paid attention to those details. So details that we overlook in every other place. And let me be clear about why we overlook them, because it is something that has evolved literally over 100 years of new development approaches. At the end of World War II, when we wanted our cities to grow, when we wanted to stay out of the Great Depression, right? Slide back into the Great Depression at the end of World War II, we created all kinds of systems to build cities at scale. we call cookie cutter subdivisions today. Literally, we made cookie cutter cities. Just bam, 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 over and over and over, repeat, repeat. Efficient, build, 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 lower cost of production. This was the economic model we had at the time, and it was about replication. How do we replicate as quickly as possible? The reality is our ancestors built cities really fast. They built them in a much different way, though. It wasn't about replication as much as it was iteration. You build the first iteration, then the second iteration, then the third iteration, often in the same place, maturing it over time, making it better with each iteration. You did the simple things because you had the space that you were occupying, that you were traveling at 2.5 miles an hour in, not 30 or 40 miles an hour in. So the little details matter because you experience them in an intimate way. When you drive by, you don't experience with that intimacy. And over time, our, I'm going to say, sensitivity to it dulled. If you talk to people who predominantly drive, these things will be completely foreign to them because they don't experience a city in this way. But if you talk to people who predominantly walk, who experience day-to-day life at this kind of slower pace, they will know exactly what you're talking about because they're very sensitive to it, because they see it and they experience it day in and day out. Life looks very different at 2 miles an hour than at 20 miles an hour. It looks very different at 20 miles an hour than it does at 40 miles an hour, although not as much as between that 2 and 20. We need to actually build cities with the attention to detail that you would have at 2 miles an hour, not the attention to detail that you would have from behind a windshield. And I don't say that to be anti-car. I say that to be pro-growth, pro-wealth creation, pro-productivity, pro-general prosperity. A city like this is a city that is occupied by upper middle class people. These are wealthy people. But nothing they have done here costs anything more than what we would do in the poorest of our cities. It's just done more thoughtfully.